Let's talk about this issue further. We're joined by Paul Robinson, who's a youth mentor and helps young people involved in county lines gangs. Paul, thanks very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us. Now you're a mentor at the Charlton Athletic Community Trust linked to the football club. Is that right? And
that's correct.
Just looking at some of the work that you do, some people may have seen some T-shirts that the players go out onto the pitch with. So just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, we launched Street Violence Ruins Lives programme in 2008 with the tragic loss of Rob Knox. With Colin Knox and Sally Knox of mum and dad. We launched that. We reached out to the family and they come on board. So we've been doing this line of work now for 11 years. We just recently had the Street Violence Ruins Life strategy revamped, and we're pleased to say that we got some funding from the Mayor of London, and also with the funding what's been provided, it means that we can put, as we like to put it, more boots on the ground and mentor these young people. We take direct referrals from certain panels, and those referrals, we take a young person on a journey. To give you an idea of that, I mean, I've been mentoring one young person for nearly 7 years now, with the tragic loss of one of his friends who was the perpetrator, who did commit murder. And we believe that he sadly would have been on the bus that night, but luckily for him, he had the best case of flu he ever had. And with that, himself and his mum and his sister were moved out into Kent. I've continued to mentor them for that amount of time. Our mentoring program is is fantastic. It really is.
Just on that thread as well, we were listening to that report. It said the NHS, and that was focused on the NHS. That report can only ever treat the symptoms. What you're talking about, staying in touch as a mentor over many years. How crucial is that when you're trying to turn someone's life around and get them away from knife crime?
Correct. I mean, you're spot on. I mean, we take that young person on a journey from, you meeting a very angry young person and changing their life skills and raising their aspirations, and, trying to, get them back into education and then into employment and then into a steady lifestyle, sometimes changing their we're not only changing their mindset, but changing the way they act and change the way they develop as a young person.
Paul, do you think that what you're doing, do you see it as a substitute for services that should be provided by local authorities? A lot of people in this debate highlight the youth service spending by local authorities in England, which is down by a third compared with 3 years ago. Other people will say there is no causal link between the two. Is what you're doing, do you see it as a substitute for something that should be provided by those local authorities?
No, I certainly don't see it as a substitute. I see it all working together. Football is a tool for us, and football only comes into it marginally, really. But working strategically together with different partners, be it the police, be it the ambulance service, be it the fire service, be it social services, working collaboratively together, we certainly, you're quicker to get an end game as it is.
Just looking at some of the things the government are trying to do to sort of tackle this, an amendment to the offensive weapons bill was talked about fairly recently, which restricts behaviour of, I presume, young people by putting curfews and geographical restrictions on them, as well as limiting their social media use. What do you make of an approach like that compared with what you're doing, which is engaging face-to-face with people?
I believe face-to-face is the key. Face-to-face is the key. I mean, putting someone in their bedroom of a night and just, I think that'll only breed contempt for me personally. The more face-to-face contact and the more engagement with those young people is far better, far better.
Do you think what we're seeing with violent knife crime on the increase, is it going to get better? How long are we talking about before we start to address this really and bring it down?
We need more boots on the ground. We need more services and more collaborative work and more people to engage with these young people and raise their ambitions and raise their aspirations within the community. It's about building the community. It really truly is. It's about.
It does strike me, Paul, as well, that the approach you're taking, is it perhaps easier to get to these young people, and I presume mainly young men, via football? I remember being a teenager, you don't want to listen to teachers, parents or police. Is football a good way in?
Football's a tool, but it's not always the tool. To give you an idea, there's a young person I was trying to engage with for quite some time, and it just so happened I went fishing, and he saw the fishing stuff in the car, and all of a sudden that was the hook. Pardon the pun, but that was the hook of working with that young person, and it's finding their interests. And when you find their interest and you've got a common goal, that really opens up and breaks down them boundaries.
Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Appreciate it.
That's lovely. Thank you.